I was so transformed when I learned how to read. First, let me introduce myself. I'm Nana Camille Yarbrough, producer here at Ancestor House and performing artist for years. And often I think of when I first began to learn how to decipher script and words and put words together in sentences and in paragraphs, and then I was transformed. I was taken into another world. I was changed as a person because I could read thoughts and emotions and settings, and I was born on the south side of Chicago, but because I could read, I could see the world at the library. I had books at my house, but it started in the library. The first time I remember in school when I was asked to read, all of us had to read 2 paragraphs of a poem. And when it came to me, I remember sitting there waiting. And I read my 2 paragraphs and I didn't stop. I kept on reading, and finally the teacher had to stop me because it was like I was feeding off of these words, off of this information. It is so painful to learn that many, if not most, of our young men, people of African ancestry, men and women in prison, most of them cannot read. Maybe on a, what grade, the grade level is very, very low. And if you can't read, it has something to do with what you can envision, what you can imagine, what you can discuss. And so it's vitally important that in our community, we support bookstores. We support the libraries, but the bookstores are someplace very special. We used to have the Liberation Bookstore in New York. We used to have other bookstores, but they're all gone, and there's one bookstore that I know. And I had the opportunity of visiting it 2 weeks ago when my niece was in town, and she's a new author. The bookstore is named Sisters Uptown Bookstore. And I went there with my niece, and I was just overwhelmed by the beauty of the store. It's on Amsterdam Avenue, and I think at about 158th Street. So if you're in New York, go there, support that store, take your children there. You can sit and take your time reading books. They can direct you into a certain subject that you might want to read, but start your children. Lead them into the world of reading, of books. I know everything now is on the Kindles and everything, but it's nothing like having a book in your hand. Nothing like cherishing the wisdom, the information that comes from it. So today we're going to show you what that bookstore looks like. We're going to introduce you to the owner, the sister, who it's called Sisters, meaning it's hers. Uptown Bookstore. They have readings there. They have performances there. They have musicians who come in and teach you how to play guitar or drums. They have artwork on the walls and all over that you can buy. It's a beautiful place, but you're going to see the beauty of it when we go into the video. Luckily, I went there with my niece, and Karen Holman is her name. She has a book, What I Must Tell My Daughters. She's focusing on the daughters because she had come through certain experiences, and she wanted to get the wisdom of that journey to the younger girls, the younger sisters who are out here. So again, I don't know how much time I have, the intro into this piece. You're going to see me. I was not prepared to be on camera, but you'll see me there. Introducing the owner of the store and then going into the store and describing what is there. Please go. This is the only bookstore, the black bookstore I know in Manhattan. I think there's one in Brooklyn, but it's teetering. It's almost not there. We have to keep this store going. We have to save our children. And it is our story, our history, our story that feeds our young, that gives them something for a basis of understanding. I heard yesterday, as a result of the Trayvon tragedy, a young woman on television saying, I didn't want to tell my son about the civil rights movement. I didn't want to tell them about slavery. I did not want to tell them about lynching. But now I have to tell them about Trayvon. When you deny, when you keep that information from it doesn't make them weak. It makes them stronger. We are genius people, a very strong people, to have come through that. We survived all of that. And while we were surviving, we were creating and giving. So tell your children, take your children to a black bookstore. Let them read about the greatness of our people. Let them get that feeling of power in their young ages. Before they're 10 years old, they need to know that they are more than somebody, that they are the children of greatness, and that they have a responsibility, therefore, to contribute greatness to our community. And when you do that, you contribute it to the whole world. It's a bookstore. It's Sisters Uptown Bookstore. It's on Amsterdam Avenue, I think between 159th Street. Google it. They'll show you a picture of it. But when you see the video that's going to come after me here, you'll have an idea of the beauty of the place and the spirit of the place. People go there and they say, it's so peaceful here. It is, because when you are in the center of spirit, there's only peace. There's no violence, there's no anger, there's only knowledge coming. And when it comes to our young people, it gives them direction. It gives them strength. And that's what our young people need now. Our young brothers and our young sisters, that's how we build family. So I think we're just about ready to go into the the visit that I and Karen Holman made to Sisters Uptown Bookstore. Now, when it goes off, it's just going to go off because there was no really ending to it. But this is Ancestor House. You have arrived here. You have found me here again, and I'm so glad you're here. Go to Sisters Uptown Bookstore. Winston, how much time do I have? Where are your earphones? Yeah, I have 1 minute. Somebody, Nat, held up a finger. So I guess that's 1 minute I have. Thank you for coming here to Ancestor House. Thank you for your comments when I meet you on the street. I'll see you the next time. Demi Akanusi is doing the regular show, and this is just a little gift that we're throwing in. I'll see you next time on Ancestor House. Hotep. Once again, you have found me. This is Nana Camille Yarbrough, and I'm standing in front of one of the most valuable institutions in New York City, in America, in the world, really, because it's a place of knowledge. It's a place where people come to share culture. And culture is what binds people together, where it's language, it's rhythm, it's history, it's story, it's everything that unifies. And here at this store, which we're going to enter in just a minute, I want to first introduce you to the spirit behind the store. How can you say someone who maybe 13 years ago
this sister thought about having a store which shared humanity with people. And here we are today. Here we are today with her. She's going to introduce herself. She and I met years ago in a martial arts class, by the way. So we have a lot to talk about before we go inside of this great institution. It's called Sisters Uptown Bookstore. Thank you, sister, for having us here today.
You're welcome. My name is Jennifer Wilson. Ya to those from Ghana, born on Thursday. I am the keeper of the space Sisters Uptown Bookstore and Culture Center. We embarked on bringing knowledge of self to our community about 13 years ago, and we continue to bring who we are as a community of people to this community, to this universe, to this world. And so Sister Nana Camille and I go way back, so it's a blessing that she's here today to share with us in this space that the universe has assigned us to allow our people to have a space to come and embark on the knowledge of self and who we are. So we will now enter Sisters Uptown Bookstore and Cultural Center.
Thank you. And it's not, it's for us because we need it because of our particular history, but everyone who learns, who discovers African history benefits by it. So come on inside and we'll see the most magnificent store in Harlem, bookstore. Come on inside. Here we go. Now he's going to enter, okay. Even as we enter the store, we're surrounded by fragrance, incense. It immediately puts you in a comfortable mood. And look around, look around, look around. Come on, Winston. Winston is Mumford is our great photographer. Look at this place. It's nourishing, it's healing. It goes way back in the culture of African people. You teach, each of these items is a teaching tool, aside from the books. Sister, tell us more about how you did this.
Some years ago, our bookstore, Sisters Uptown Bookstore, has a book club. And what we did was we took a trip to Ghana, Africa, and we were there for about 15 days. And a lot of what you see in this corner are African artifacts that I brought back with me from the villages, where the brothers and sisters are yarning or sculpting or sewing, all of these artifacts that you see in these corners, these statues, all of this is from Ghana, Africa. So with pride, we present the depictions that you see from the motherland, and so we... Okay. And so we invite you to come and share in what we've brought back from the motherland.
And on this side, it's a table of books.
Yes, this is a table of books where we thought it not robbery to have books that are affordable. Folk complain about the prices of books, and this is a table where you can find a book for $1, for $2. The most expensive book on this table is $5. So there's something here for everyone. On our wall, we exhibit also art from some of our local artists who also do cards and art. We have art exhibits from the local artists in Harlem, Brooklyn. And so we're proud of what we've been able to do under the Cultural Center for the last 13 years. So this is what's being depicted.
Reach out into the community and support the local people.
Yes, we do.
Who come here and who live here. And you have storytelling time.
Oh, yes, we have storytelling that occurs monthly with the African Folk Heritage Circle and different storytellers from afar who come and share our history through storytelling once a month.
Once a month.
Mm-hmm. Yes, these are art books. These are dolls that are made by local doll makers in our community. Yes, sisters have made these dolls. And so these are treasures. Yes, that's wonders. Those are from, yes. So we take pride in presenting our work. We've had doll shows. So in whatever way the community needs to present, that is what the Cultural Center is for. Mm-hmm.
It's a nice size, too. So how many people can come?
Comfortably, we've had at least 80 folk in here. We've had more than that, but comfortably we can have at least 80 people. Mm-hmm.
On this side, you have...
We have, yes, coffee and juice bar. We have a sister who's in the near future who is going to be presenting vegan and vegetarian foods and drinks and healthcare products. So this will be coming in the next month.
For the total body.
For the total body.
Not only for the mind and the spirit, but the physical self also.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And on this side, what we present also, again, are crafts from local artists who make their own jewelry. They've had jewelry shows here, and so we present their work after the shows have occurred. And so we also have jewelry made by our local merchants in the community.
This, there's stories, cultural stories that go. Who are the people who made these, and why did they use this kind of textile? How did they get the colors, the dyes? All of that is very, very interesting.
Very essential. When we were in Ghana, we actually saw where they make the adinkras with the cloth, how they lay it on the ground, and they take the different molds that they have and place that on the cloths there. So this is some of the cloths from the villages in Ghana. We have the guitars on the wall because we have guitar lessons for children and adults on Saturdays. There's a brother who comes and teaches guitar lessons. We just had our first recital with the children, yes, this month, so we're very proud that we have also music. Mm-hmm.
Live music. Live
music, yes. Yes. We have jazz and poetry on the second Tuesday of every month. We have a group called Fat Tuesdays who come and present, so that's jazz and poetry. Yes, wonderful, wonderful energy. Yes.
The music, the live music. The poets come in here, writers who bring their books and all of that in. Let's see, and the food is on this side.
Yes.
Black Power. Whitney Houston's book. This is a basketball thing.
Yes, first father. Mm-hmm.
With his sons.
Yes.
About fatherhood.
Rich, rich history. And this is a new release, Ghana Must Go. Yes. It's a book with a depiction of Ghana, which is a novel. It's hot, hot, hot. Everybody's talking about it. So we're encouraging people to come and get their copy of it, new release.
And these artworks up here?
Yes, we have a brother who did a photography exhibit. He's from Haiti, and so his work is Haitian art. So this is his depiction as well as those over there. This is Haitian art. Mm-hmm.
They are some of the best artists in the world.
Oh, yes, they are. Yes, they are. And we have a reference section where we have old books that we keep where folk can just come and pull those books and sit down at a table and read. And
Do some research.
yes, and do some research. Mm-hmm.
And I see a special book up there.
Yes, we do. We have a special book called Cornrow, and I wonder who that's by, but it's one of our classics. And everywhere I go to a book distributor and I see it, I just buy up as many as I can because that is truly a classic. And
About 35 years old.
what a blessing.
Really?
Yes, what a blessing. It's still very important.
I did it because our hair had been made fun of. People, you know, even now, because the natural is coming back, people recognize that they can treat their hair without putting chemicals and not being ashamed. And so, but at that time, we didn't wear our hair in cornrows very much. And so I found the need to give it that dignity again, to go back to the roots of our hair. And that's why I wrote the book Cornrows. It's a family story, it's a history story, but it's not just for children, it's for the whole family to learn. And so it's still here. And I'm glad to see it. When I came and I said, okay, all right, this is home, this is home. But all these other books here for children and families and all about African culture in diaspora.
Yes.
Why do you do that? Why do you do African culture?
Well, one of the reasons was I grew up in a small town in Georgia, and there were no books whatsoever with any depiction of who we were. And so I grew up feeling invisible. So one of the things that I've always dreamed of was to just present and preserve who we are. So because if you don't know who you are or from whence you came, how could you move forward on your journey? So that is one of the major reasons why Sisters Uptown Bookstore and Cultural Center exists, because it was left out of the equation in my life as a child, and I take great pride in just enveloping who we are and presenting. It's so rich.
Why Sisters Uptown Bookstore?
Well, one of the reasons was I live in this community, and in the community there was, from one end of the river to the other end, there was nothing that looked like me. There was nothing owned by anyone who looked like me. And so I journeyed to say, you know what? They say black folk don't read. That's what they said. When I opened the store, people said, she's not going to make it because black folk don't read. So 13 years later, there are enough of us reading that we're still here.
That's
Yes,
great.
yes.
And the fact that a sister is doing it, and we must understand the dynamics of being male and female, because there are different things that happen. And sisters standing up and creating brings another energy to what we're doing, to our lives in the community too. So I'm glad to see the women coming together to do this. But it's sisters, so it's more than you. It's just one. Oh, you the one. Okay, you're the one who's doing it. Let's see, what else? We're going down the line of all these. In the corner over here, there is something special. Why is it here? What is it and why is it here?
Well, it is our altar, and it is necessary because the energy of the ancestors in this community is profound. There's a lot of history in this community, and so as a tribute to who we are, every day we give homage to our ancestors in this space. And so there's Oshun, there's everybody that we need to keep us on our path and our journey. So every day they're present, and they take me and they say, you've been assigned, and we got you.
We have jobs to do.
Yes. And so, yes.
Spiritual essence.
And so the presence of because folk come in, they say, oh, it's so peaceful here. It's so, because the presence is here. Yes, it's vital. Yes.
Especially today.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's so many being impacted.
Oh,
by
yes.
so many material things.
Mm-hmm.
We lose sense of being human sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
We have today in your store one of the authors. Many authors come here throughout the year.
Oh, yes.
And we have a sister who's come here from Chicago, my hometown.
Mm.
Just happened to
I didn't know that was your hometown.
yes.
What a blessing.
Yes. So we have an opportunity to meet Karen Holman and see her book, What I Need to Tell My Daughters, and I think we could talk to her a bit about why she wrote the book and listen down.
Yes, so we love that.
Okay, I'm just going to say again, my name is Karen Holman, and the name of the book is What I Need to Tell My Daughters, and it's a book of insight and inspiration, encouragement, empowerment for women of all ages. And I wrote the book because of some of the struggles I had in my life, and I wanted to write so that someone else can read it and maybe avoid some of the things that I did and find a better way to do it. Or even for, when I say women of all ages, even women of any age. Maybe they're doing something and they're not satisfied with their life in some kind of way. Maybe perhaps they can pick this book up and find a better way to do what they have been doing all along and get the result that they've been trying to get.
Tell us a bit about who you are, how you grew up, and because usually that, I know when I write, it's usually because I've lived something.
Yeah.
And it tells me write about this, share it with people.
Okay.
Okay.
I grew up in the Chicago housing project. That was the first 16 years of my life. Of course, the projects is not the best place to live. It's an overcrowded population. You have a lot of drugs, a lot of alcohol. You know, I would walk out my apartment to see people shooting up heroin, and you know, the smell of marijuana come under the door in your apartment. My mother used to get so upset I didn't understand what it was because I was very young. So it was a lot going on in there, a lot of people, and it's just not a good environment.
It was wounded. We as a people have carried wounds from the past. And part of what you do in the store is healing by letting us know who we are and the history. So you were impacted by a lot of the wounded people.
Yeah, I was impacted, and I'm sure I myself was wounded. And a story that I told you is that, you know, when you live in an environment like that, you cannot be timid. And I was very timid and afraid of a lot of things, but in that environment, when you walk down the street, you can't do that. So I was telling somebody that I had to get that mean mug. You know, I had to look tough.
Yeah.
You know, whatever, you know, and sometimes...
Don't start nothing, won't be
That's exactly. You have to send that message so they won't even try you.
Yeah.
But, you know, I see a lot of that face sisters today, if you think about it. And they say, oh, they're angry, they're this. Well, we don't know what they are.
That's right.
We don't really... It just might be a coping mechanism, like it was for me. And I went to a vocational school, a high school. So went to a Catholic grade school, vocational high school. And when I came out of high school, I was able to be employed because they had vocational, had skills, which they don't have in Chicago today. They took all the vocational schools out. So you have to either go to college or, you know, to get a job.
Yeah.
I was able to go in there and have a skill and go straight to work at a bank, you know, until I decided to go back to school to be a court reporter. And so I did court reporting in the state of Illinois for the court system for 25 years. A little more, and then I did my own little agency of court reporting. But all the time, I was taking a class here and taking a class there and trying to reach my bachelor's degree. So I want to say that it took me 18 years to reach it. 18 years. I mean, a lot of stuff happened. I started, I stopped, I started. My mother got sick, I stopped, I started, had a divorce, I stopped. You know, it just, you know, and so that's what this, it encourages you to just push on. Don't give up. It's going to be a lot of setbacks. It may be, it may not be, but they are not insurmountable. You can get around them. You know, it might not go as fast as you want it to go, but it will go. I know when I went back to school at, I think I was 35 or 32. My daughter was about 2. And I said, one of my girlfriends said, well, you're going to be 45 when you get out of school. And I said, well, I'm going to be 45 anyway. I might as well have what I want.
I love it.
So from there, after I finally finished, after 18 years, I think I was 50 when I finally got my bachelor's, and I was very happy. And so since I was in the groove, I went on and got my master's, another 18 months. So, and I did it. I mean, but that was something I always wanted to do.
What is your master's in?
My master's is in communications.
Oh.
Communications, yeah.
Which is so important, period,
Yeah.
across the board. when you can't communicate, you suffer.
Yeah.
And now,
Yeah.
in this time of internet
We're
and
not
television,
No, we're
and all
not.
that.
Oh, we don't have to do face-to-face anymore.
No.
And I'm definitely into face-to-face communication.
Okay.
And it allows me to teach communication workshops, you know, relationship workshops, things of that nature. Yeah. So, after that,
So you're doing workshops now?
I'm doing workshops now at Governor State University. And I'm also teaching, giving back all my experience with court reporting. So I teach court reporting in a community college also.
Okay, okay. That must be, you know, we're looking at television and we're looking at court cases, and we see the court reporter there, and you have to slow down so that court
Yeah.
reporter can get everything. You must have had quite a number of experiences with the different kinds of cases that came in.
Oh, yeah.
And was
Oh,
it
yeah.
it was in the big court?
It was in the big court.
It wasn't necessarily in the neighborhood, but it was in
Well,
the
I
major.
did a lot of courts. I did almost every court in the Circuit Court of Cook County, which is juvenile, it's traffic, it's domestic violence, it's law, it's chancery, it's every court, criminal court, all of them.
All of them.
Misdemeanors, whatever. I worked the whole circuit, you know.
Okay. So all of that kind of fed into your writing this book, in addition to where you lived and one thing that got me, she said she was in this circumstance, which was difficult, but something told you to get out of there. What was it?
Yeah.
How did you know that you had to move up?
You know what? I just always, you know, we always have, I guess all of us, or should have, or some of us don't yet, we have a dream of where we think we're going to be sometime in life.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know, for some reason, I always wanted to get that master's degree. I wasn't sure why. I don't know why, but it was in me. Okay. But I'm sure there's a purpose for me getting it. It gives me more credibility in a lot of ways.
Yes.
You know, I wouldn't be able to teach if I
Yes.
didn't have it. I wouldn't be able to teach on a college level. So I don't know, it was just driven. I was just driven to do it. And like I say, 18 years. And when I got to, you know, after that 18th year, I said, okay, what's another 18 months? So I went straight into it, and it was very difficult because it is very challenging, but I held in there. I said, if I can hold out for 18 years, I can do another 18 months. And it got done.
She's my niece. Okay. So we talk about family things, and coming from Chicago, I had a drive because I didn't live. We were not raised in the projects.
Yeah.
But it was difficult neighborhood. You know, we used to call it the bucket of blood, and
Yeah.
all those
Right,
kinds
right,
of names
right.
that would go on south side of Chicago. But there was something that said move. There was something that said, and we didn't have as much television then.
Right.
But what I saw of that outside, I knew there was something else. Then I began to do what? Read. Read. That was so important. There weren't stores like that. We didn't have stores focusing on African culture like this one. You didn't either. Yeah. So this is a blessing right now. I wish I had had it. I found a library, and I found books, some books that had to do with us, but I was reading French authors and all of that. Nothing that was given to me in school. They didn't give us any black literature in school. None. Absolutely none. But that same energy that you had to keep learning, keep growing, I had that too.
Yeah.
And I think we have to kind of help our children to find that. And if they come here and begin to read, and the young women and older women read your book, maybe it would open those doors to them.
And that's one of the things I say in here is that you can have what you want. You just have to work for it. I mean, it's not going to drop in your hand.
No.
But if you want it, you have that drive, keep trying. You'll get it. If this way is not working, then turn this way. You know, whatever it takes. But don't give up. You know, even if you get a setback, something happened, things happen. Life happens. So, but when you're done, pick it up and keep going again.
What are some of the things you tell in your book?
Some of the things I say in this book: treat people kindly. That's where I start. Treat people kindly, because I believe what we give out is what we get back. I just believe that's the way my life has been. You know, if I'm nasty to people, I get it back. If I judge people, I get it back. And get it back twice as hard, you know. because I shouldn't have been doing that. Do the right thing whether you feel like it or not. Okay, so and I talk about something as simple as, you know, you get up in the morning, the clock goes off, and this might be for younger people who haven't really gotten acclimated to going to work every day. You know, you just want to lay there another 10 minutes or whatever. Get up and do what you're supposed to do. Because if we do just what we feel like doing, we're going to have an unproductive life.
No discipline.
Yeah, exactly. We have to have discipline.
Yeah.
Have to have discipline to reach any kind of goal. I talk about take a holiday. You don't have to look at the calendar to have a holiday. Celebrate your life.
That's key.
Celebrate
Thank
your
you.
life.
Do you take holidays?
Yeah, take
Not
a
very
holiday.
many.
And it doesn't mean that you have to spend a lot of money. You know, put on some
Take a break.
music you like. Take a break. Take a break. Balance it out. You know, all work and no play. We know what that makes. A very dull, resentful, tired person. Stressed.
Yeah.
You have to relax. I mean, that keeps you healthy. It keeps you whole. But I just say take a holiday, you know, and celebrate your victories. That's one of the things I talk about with my students. Because in court reporting, you're trying to build a speed with people talking to 225 words a minute. So it's a lot of failure, you know, because you take test after test after test and you don't get it. So when my students pass a test, I have them do a victory dance. I'm the only one in the school that does that. And when I see them in the hall, they say, Miss Holman, I'm going to dance today. And I forgot what they were talking about. I said, you're going to dance? Yeah, I'm going to do that victory dance. Good. I want to encourage them to believe in themselves and know that they can do it. Because they can. But they have to believe me. I even gave them what I call a Holman challenge. I had them doing self-affirmations, saying I'm one test away from getting out of this school. And, you know, I would say, okay, so how are you doing today? Oh, I told them they couldn't complain. If somebody say, how you doing, tell them you won test. So I come in class, so how you doing today? Oh, I had a cold. Oh, how are you doing?
Yes.
Miss Holman, I'm one test away from getting out of this class. I said, thank you. Thank you.
Good.
But, you know, I just got to encourage. They need encouragement.
That's right.
And that's what this book is about. It's about encouragement. And it also talks about sharing your struggles. Because a lot of people may look at you and say, okay, she has it easy. She has this bookstore. I always wanted a bookstore, but I could never have a bookstore. But if you never tell her how you got there, then it's impossible for her. Because, you know, we just see that big picture. I want to be from here to here. But there's steps. And they need to know the steps.
It's a process.
Yeah, it's a process. It's all a process. You're not going to jump anywhere overnight. You know, some people might, but for the rest of us, we're going to take those steps, and it's going to be a process. So that's a big thing I talk about. You know, just sharing your victories and your disappointments. You have to share them. You know,
He asked somebody, how are they? I'm fine. I'm not going to complain. Sometimes you have to complain.
Sometimes you do. Sometimes you have to let somebody know something.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really do. I just think about it. This is just for me, because this meant a lot to me. After my first divorce, you know, that was a devastating time in my life. So I had a girlfriend I used to talk to all along, and she worked in the court system, and, you know, I met her in the court system. So she said something one day, you know, that was in my first marriage, but now my second marriage, whatever. And, you know, a lot of people want to get married. The second marriage, you know, that's like maybe, if.
Yeah.
So I said, your second marriage, huh? And she said, yeah. I said, well, you need to tell people that. Because she gave me hope by saying that there was a chance, because I feel like I enjoy being married. So there was a chance that I might be married again. And I did get married again. But she gave me hope just by that little statement.
And lifted you out of
She
kind
lifted
of
me
depression
out,
if you
right,
did
because you're
that.
looking at the statistics, you know, you got a 1 in a million chance of getting married again, whatever the statistics were. And I was looking at that, but I thanked her for that. I said, you need to tell people that.
What about the young people today who are growing up in a different circumstances than we grew up in? It's a different world. The media is taking over so much of their lives. The value systems, and I have to say, with the destruction of or the changing of our music, which used to be nourishing and educating, it's now just has to do with everything is sex and a lot of violence involved. And our children don't have the kind of relationships that we grew up with. Right. How do you deal with that? Because you look at them and they look at you like they're from another planet or something. Is there something there? I see that you have young people
Yeah,
in
I have
there.
3 generations here.
Yeah.
I just think that we have to continue to reach out to our young people, whether they want to hear it or not. Because, you know, you can tell your children stuff and you can preach to them or whatever, and you have to live it. You can't just tell them that. You have to live it. But I think that I have found that, you know, they hear you and say, you know, you're old and all that stuff, but that life, when they start experiencing
Living
life,
it.
they see that you were correct on some things. You did speak some things that make sense. And when it's time for them to use that nugget you've spoken to them, it will come back to them. It's kind of like, for me, reading the Bible. You know, when I get to that point where I needed it, it comes back to me. So, as a matter of fact, my daughter gave me a card for Mother's Day for the first time that said, on the front of it, Mom, it's time for us to have that talk. When I opened it up, it said, you know, the one where I tell you that you don't know what you're talking about, and then I find out you were right. Okay?
That's fun.
That's the best card I ever had.
Yeah.
But so, you know, she heard me. Although she appeared to not hear me, she heard me. And when she needed that information or that knowledge, it was there for her.
Yeah.
So I don't think we can give up on them because, you know, life changes.
It does.
Just like when we were growing up. They thought we were too, whatever. So each generation, we don't, for some reason, can't handle the next generation the way they do it. Life continues to evolve. So I think we still have to continue to talk to them and reach out to them and mentor them and whatever else.
I had to... because there was a big jump. There's a flow, natural flow in life from one generation to other. You pass on things. But the media and the material life was interrupted. That flow, that give it back. And I know that I went into shock when I saw some of the things that our young people were doing, what they were saying, and I said, what? How did that happen? That's not in the flow. And so it required of us that we have a different approach, I think. When you look at your children and they don't recognize you as being in the same family. And when I was working up at City College in the Black Studies Department, the young people would come in there and we were teaching Black Studies. Black what? Why do you have to teach Black Studies? And we're not African, and it was just a separate thing, and they didn't understand racism and didn't want to have anything to do with it or with us. So there is a difference between when our generation and the generation that had before. We continued the respect that had been there, but that respect, because of the changing of our music, it requires, I think, of elders an extra holding on, an extra determination to say, we're going to continue this family. And from what I read of your books, you take it in different stages so that people can bit by bit begin to say, we can do this. We can make a success. But they're speaking with women. What you see about, what do you think of what's happened to our women, our value system?
Well, one of the things I wanted to say, though, in reference to the children, especially the children that we see coming in the bookstore, what we do is, and it works for us, is we meet them basically where they are. Because they think that adults are some of the craziest people they've ever seen in their lives. So when you embrace them where they are, and then you let them know that you not even say it, but they can feel you loving them, you know. And I think that's the big difference, because they feel like we demand and we have all these things we want them to do and become. And when you can take the chore away from learning and make it fun, they don't get fun in school. It's like, you got to do the English, you got to do the math, you got to do this, that's what they're missing. And so here, there's no chore. You can come and read at your leisure, you can just be. And I think that's what's missing in the educational system. We have too many mandates, and they're taking all of the culture and the art out of
Yeah.
the educational system, and that's key. Nobody asked the children, what do you like doing? Because those systems that they have and doctrines that they don't work. Because, you know, you're just breeding folk to become this and become that. We don't ask them, what do you want to do? Our families say you need to be a lawyer, you need to be a doctor, you need to be this, but what do you want to be? What do you want to do?
Yeah.
So that creative flow and freedom, you know, tap into your gift. And I think that's what the children are able to do here, because we ask them for their reading list. What are you reading? When's the last time you read a book? Oh, we read this and we read that, and oh, we're reading book number 6 of the Wimpy Kids, and you know, did you know that Whoopi Goldberg has a series and we like her books, The Plum Ballerinas? And so you go where they are and you make it fun. That's how we should embrace our children, but we weren't raised that way. Remember? We were raised like, you do this because I said you do this and whatever. And I think that's the divide. And if we don't go back and embrace where our kids are today, that's why we're losing so many of them, because they don't feel us. They don't feel connected to us anymore.
A lot of them haven't had the experiences we had.
No, they haven't.
And so when we talk about it, they say, what? You know, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
But that's part of the history
that's
that
right.
we have to bring to them. But as you said, we have to bring it to them in an exciting way, in a way that they can really feel that they're part of it, and not just preaching at them,
Right.
but helping them to feel it.
Because we have Black History Month in February, so they're like, but we're black all the time. So why do we just have one month of,
To learn, they have to
you see what I'm saying? So we've got to teach them, you know, we the elders, that's what I see. We need to go back. First, we need to get it, because so many of us missed it. So once we get it, I think we now need to impart to them and let them know that we love them and they can be anything they want to do. I think that's key.
that we've been blessed to have been here today. We came here because this sister came all the way from Chicago to be with us, with her daughter over there on the side, who has been very gracious and very quiet. So I want to thank you again for creating this store and for maintaining it through your genius for 13 years. It's very important that it be here, and if I can do anything with my, you know, being in the business of communication, if I can help in any way, I'm certainly ready to do that. It's been a long time because I've been trying to build something coming with success and failure, and success and failure. But as you said, you keep going, you know, and you keep giving. And I think it's the giving that sustains you, you know. It keeps you going that way. So I want to thank you again, the proprietor, Big Mama here. And I want to thank you, Karen Holman, for your book and for your sharing your story with the family here in Harlem. It was not expected that we were going to do this, but hey, the miracles come all the time. My name, I am Nana Camille Yarborough, a lover of African people, a lover of life and of humankind, and especially of books, which saved my life when I was stressed out as a child, didn't know who I was or what I was going to do. I found a library. My mother also would tell me, why don't you go out and play? But I was in the house reading newspapers because people interest me, because that's exciting. And so I want to thank the great creator for bringing us here today. I want to thank our cameraman, Winston Mumford, for his work, always creative, always perfection. And so this presentation will probably be on Channel 34, Manhattan Neighborhood Network, my show called Ancestor House. It will probably be introduced by the young lady, Demi Akanusi, who is now doing the show, because I'm trying to finish some writing, and I had to step out from it. But we thank you for being with us here at Ancestor House today, and come every Saturday, 5:30, Channel 34, Ancestor House again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Miss Karen, thank you. What's your name again? Jennifer what?
Wilson.
Wilson, okay. Proprietor here at Sisters Uptown Bookstore. Wow, this is so nice. And I heard Diane Carroll, the legs are the last to go.
Yeah.
Isn't that something? Did you read that? And she's showing her legs.
And Tina too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, true. This brother has, you've seen him on television, he's a chef, but he has that new restaurant. The Red Rooster.
Oh,
We passed it
okay.
on the way here. He has about 5 restaurants around the country. Thank you, Winston. Well,